Good morning, boys and girls. This is our math e-learning lesson for Wednesday, April the 1st. I want you to take a look at the test 21B as our practice test. And I'm going to go over some of it with you, not all of it. There are certain problems that I would like to go over with you just to make sure that you're on the right track when you begin to solve those problems. So let's start by looking at number 1. Number 1 says Grant is 8 pounds heavier than Carrie. Carrie is 3 times as heavy as Todd. And if Todd weighs 68 pounds, how much does Grant weigh? So again, this is one of those problems that when you're just reading through, it can seem a little bit confusing. You're not really sure where to begin. Remember that this, like doing the logic puzzles, is that we always look for those things that are the most obvious. And so when we take another look at that, we find out that we're actually given Todd's weight. So we want to make sure that that's where we begin. So we have Grant, we have Carrie, and we have Todd. And we are told that Todd weighs 68 pounds. So we have Grant, Carrie, and Todd, and that Todd weighs 68 pounds. Okay, remember, you always want to start with the most obvious first. It says Grant is 8 pounds heavier than Carrie. Well, right now we don't have Carrie's weight, so we don't want to try and do anything with that just yet. But if we look a little bit further, we find that Carrie is 3 times as heavy as Todd. Well, we do have Todd's weight. It says that Carrie is 3 times as heavy as Todd. So that would mean then we would take Todd's weight, and if Carrie is 3 times that, then we need to multiply that by 3. So if we work that out, 68 times 3, 3 times 8 is 24, 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20. That would mean then that Carrie is 204 pounds. Then we could go back and it says that Grant is 8 pounds heavier than Carrie. So if Grant is 8 pounds heavier than Carrie, that means 8 pounds more than Carrie. So if Carrie is 204, Grant is 8 pounds more than that. So we add the 204 plus 8. 4 plus 8 is 12, 1 plus 0 is 1, and 2 plus nothing is 2. Okay, and so now we know that Grant is 212 pounds, Carrie is 204, and Todd is 68 pounds. Again, always go back and read the problem to make sure you worked it out carefully. Grant is 8 pounds heavier than Carrie. That's what we did. Grant 8 pounds more than Carrie. We know that Carrie is 3 times as heavy as Todd. And we know that Todd weighs 68 pounds. So again, Todd weighs 68 pounds and Carrie is 3 times more than that, then that's 68 times 3. Okay? Again, always want to read through it carefully and then pull out the parts of the problem that are most obvious. Okay, always look for what you can get started with. Just because they listed Grant first, that doesn't mean you need to start with Grant. You want to read through and pull out the information that you're certain of. Okay, moving to number 2, what is the total number of days in all of the months with exactly 30 days? Again, back in your Saxon textbook on page 16 are all of the months and the number of days in each of those months, in case you don't remember the rhyme that we use. So you're just simply looking for all of the months that have 30 days, and then what is the total number of months? What is the total number of days? So you have to find out how many months have 30 days, and then how many days is that in total. Number 3, it cost $1.30 to pay the toll. Paula put 7 dimes in the basket. How much more money did the toll cost? Well, we know that the total is $1.30. She already put in 7 dimes. So how much is 7 dimes? So if she's already put in that amount and the total is $1.30, what are you going to need to do to figure out how much more she has left to add in? Okay, you need to subtract it. The total minus what she's already put in, and that will tell you how much more she needs to put in. Now, let's work through number 4 together. 29 cans were arranged on 4 shelves as equally as possible. Okay, when you hear that phrase, as equally as possible, you know that you're trying to divide something up as equally as you can possibly get it. So that could mean that you have something left over, because if it says as equally as possible, you might be able to do it equally, but you might do it equally with something left over. So it says equally as possible. Okay, so we start out with 29 cans arranged on 4 shelves. So what does that mean? You're dividing that up. You have a total of 29 cans that's now being divided up on 4 shelves. As a reminder, 29 cans divided up onto 4 shelves. Okay, and our question says, well, how many shelves had exactly 7 cans? Well, let's do our division first. 29 divided by 4. 4 times what comes close to 29 without going over? 7. 4 times 7 is 28. 29 minus 28, 1. There are no other digits to bring down, therefore we bring that up. That's our remainder. So 29 divided by 4 equals 7 with a remainder of 1. So 29 cannot be divided up by 4 equally. It says equally as possible. Right? So what does that mean for us? Well, if we have the 29 cans divided up on 4 shelves, we're able to put 7 onto each shelf. But what about this? Remember, we have that 1 can left over. We can't forget about it. We have all 29 cans that have to be placed on those shelves. So we can't just forget about that one that's left over. That also has to go on the shelves. Can we add another shelf and put it there? No, why not? Because it said 4 shelves. There are only 4 shelves. You can't create another one if it says you have 4 shelves. So what we have to do then is take that 1 extra that we have and simply add it on one of these shelves. So instead of having 7 maybe on this shelf, we're going to add that extra 1, and so now we'll actually have 8 on that shelf. And then it's always good to go back and add up and make sure that that makes sense. Well, you have 3 7s. 3 times 7 is 21, and 21 plus 8 is 29. There's our total of 29 cans divided as equally as possible among the 4 shelves. Now you're ready to just simply answer the questions. A, how many shelves had exactly 7 cans? 1, 2, 3. And B, how many shelves had 8 cans? Just 1. Good. Number 5 says to draw a quadrilateral and shade 75% of it. Well, you need to remember a couple of things here, and if you don't, you use your book as your reference and resource. But a quadrilateral, remember a quad, when we were looking at all those different prefixes, quad means 4. A quadrilateral is a 4-sided polygon, closed figure with straight sides. So you're able to draw any quadrilateral and shade 75% of it. Now, if you're not sure about the percentages, at the bottom of page 222, you will see the different boxes and the percentages shaded in. Use that to help you out. Okay, they're doing multiples of 10, so you can see what 70% looks like shaded in, you can see what 80% looks like shaded in, and so you know that 75% will be between 70 and 80. So again, use the bottom of page 222 to help you with that. Now let's go to number 6. 6A, what decimal number names the shaded part of the square? And B, what decimal number names the part that is not shaded? So you're doing 2 things with number 6. You're looking at what's shaded and what is not shaded. Now, again, you have that large square with 100 little squares. Remember, anytime you see the big square like that with all of those little squares, you know that there are 100 little squares there. And so if we take a look, we can see one whole row has been shaded in, so that's 10 plus two others, that's 12. So you have 12 out of 100 that is shaded in. So 12 hundredths of that square is shaded in. So that would be A, that's the shaded in part. And then B is asking for what decimal number shows what is not shaded. So if we have 12 out of 100 squares that are shaded, how many are not shaded? A couple of things you can do. You just wanted to do the 100 minus 12. Okay, you could work that out and see that there are 88 other squares. You could look at every row and just total up. So you would go down and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 rows that are completely empty. There are 10 squares in each row. 8 times 10 is 80. And then in that next to the last row, there are 8 squares that are not shaded in. So again, that 80 plus 8 gives you the 88 that are not shaded in. So 88 hundredths is not shaded. Okay, number 7, using words to write that number. 807 and 200, use words to write 807,241. 807,241. Number 8, estimate the product of 41 and 68, then find an exact answer. This is something that often I was reminding you about. Looking carefully, you see that word estimate and exact. Okay. Estimate is sort of that opposite of exact. Exact means this is exactly what I have. This is the total. If I had 52 cents in my hand, okay, that's exactly the amount. The exact amount is 52 cents. An estimate of that would mean about how much is that. So I wouldn't say exactly 52 cents, but if I was estimating, I'd say it's about 50 cents. Is it exactly 50? No, it's about 50. So you need to remember that when you see these words, the estimate, you're going to be looking to see about how much. And exact is your total. It's all of what you have. So let's take a look again. Estimate the product of 41 and 68. 41 and 68. Another key word that you need to remember is product. What does the product mean? Product is the total you get when you multiply. So here they're asking for us to do an estimate of this and then find the exact. So they want you to do two. They want you to estimate first and then do the exact. So if we estimate, that means we need to round our numbers. So 41 gets rounded to 40, and 68 gets rounded to 70. Okay, so then we can multiply that. We have 2 zeros. We can just bring down our 2 zeros and then multiply 7 times 4, which is 28. So this is our estimate because these are not the exact numbers. Okay, this tells us about how much we have. So 40 times 70 equals 2,800. That's the estimated answer. That's the first thing they wanted us to do, the estimated answer. The second thing we need to do is an exact answer. Okay, so now we need to do an exact answer. So we start in the ones column. 8 times 1 is 8. We cross over. 8 times 4 is 32. Now we are ready to come down and look at the digit in the tens place. Remember, we put a 0 because we have completed what's in the ones place, and now because we're multiplying by tens, we need to have that 0 here because the 6 really means 60. So then we multiply. 6 times 1 equals 6, and 6 times 4 equals 24. Okay, and then we add that up, 8, 8, 7, 2. So our exact answer is 2,788, which if we just had this number and I asked you to round this number, this is what you would round it to, 2,800. Okay, so here is our estimate. Remember, estimate means about, and so you're going to have to round the exact numbers. You round them to the multiples of 10 and multiply. And then here, exact, then you work with those exact numbers and you multiply. And in this case, yes, you're multiplying because it asked about the product. You needed to find the product. And remember, the product is the answer you get when you multiply. Okay, and then in number 9, Jane bought a meter of ribbon and cut 1/5 of it to wrap a gift. How many millimeters of ribbon did she use on the gift? Well, in that problem, you need to remember that 1,000 millimeters equals 1 meter. So because the question was asked in millimeters, you need to change the meter to millimeters before you begin to work out the problem. Okay, number 10, what is the area? Remember, the formula for area is length times width. Number 11, there were 124 people in the meadow. 3/4 of them were feeding the geese. How many people were feeding the geese? So you had 124 people in the meadow, and you need to figure out 3/4 of that. So I'm just going to remind you that you have 3/4 of 124. Okay, that's how you would begin to set up your problem. You're trying to figure out 3/4 of 24. Then remember, draw your box. Okay, because we're talking about fourths, this will be divided up into 4 parts. Then what do you do next? You're going to take your 124 and divide by fourths because we want to know how many are in just 1/4. Once you have filled that in, how many are just in 1/4, then you can go back and say, okay, well, I need 1, 2, 3/4 of that. And then what is that total? And there's your answer. Okay, and then number 12, Ranger galloped 318 kilometers in 6 hours. How far could he gallop in 1? Again, you have that total of 318 altogether. That was done over 6 hours. So if you want to find out how far he went in just 1 hour, you need to sort of work backwards. Take that 318 and you divide it by 6, and then you'll find out how far he went in 1 hour. Number 13 asks you to write a decimal number that equals 28 hundredths. Remember, with decimals, 1 place to the right of the decimal are your tenths, and 2 places to the right of the decimal would be your hundredths. Okay, and then the other is strict computation. Number 19, that's written as an improper fraction or a division problem. And then in number 20, you're looking to solve for the value of Q. And now there are a lot of add-ins there. What you need to do is you need to first add up everything that you do have, see what you do have, and then it's that number plus Q equals 63, and then you can solve for Q. Okay, so today you'll work on completing 21B as your practice test. I worked through it carefully. I went through some of them with you, the ones that I thought might give you a little bit more trouble. But again, make sure you're using your textbook. Get out your textbook and you go back into the different lessons and use the book as a reference to help you with anything that you need to refer back to. And anything that you're not able to solve, let me know and we'll work through it together. I'll talk to you later. Bye.